The direction in which the project has to progress, the direction in which the ideas have to progress, the direction in which the marketing, management, the manufacturing has to go, has to be very clear, very early in the project. So to make this happen, there are a lot of thinking tools which come in handy. So we'll show you through this case study of redesign of a Palki for Vaishno Devi shrine. How we went about checking out what type of mock-ups we need to do, what type of prototypes we need to do. How do you engage with the users to understand what the aspects of the users are, discipline oriented. So every aspect of innovation is multidisciplinary. That is a very important thing we need to realize. Here, we also look at the design-driven innovation. We're talking about design in a very big way because design embodies a number of disciplines in itself. You become an ethnographer when you're doing your user study. You become an engineer when you're doing your prototype development to come up with design inventions and innovations. So if you again look at the values of death for innovation, you see out of every one or two products which become innovative, you have hundreds and hundreds of products or services which are dead. And those are those values of death where they're lying. These are important lessons which we learned while we went through these processes. That's the reason I'm trying to show you. So in this case, what's very critical here is number of times in the Palki project we came till the pilot production. Then user testing failed. We came back again to the square one into the design and mock-up and prototype phase. So that journey I'll show how that's happened. So there's a nice history to this whole Palki project. All of you know what Palki is, right? There's this people who carry people who are handicapped or elderly. And then one of our students went to Ajanta caves. And he came back and told me, sir, I want to work on a Palki for Ajanta. I said, that's a good project. So we sponsored the project, then we did the design, we studied the Palki. Porters are very, very ingenious and they are very hardworking. They come up with very innovative ideas. They use an existing chair and they actually tie logs to it and they use it as a Palki. Nobody gave them any idea of what they can do innovatively, whether they can use different materials. Nobody told them all that, but they do whatever they can do best in local context, and that's called grassroot innovation. So we studied all that and we came back and said, what happens if we use thinner materials, stainless steel pipes which are very strong, which are very lightweight, and we design this Palki and give it to them. Because porters have to buy or manufacture their own Palkis. It becomes very expensive for them. So that's where we said we need to work for the porters and see to it that we make the government provide them the good palanquins. Then you can control the price of how much they should charge. They were very, very happy. The porters wanted it. It had complete stainless steel pipes. It was very lightweight. So we studied the Palki. We designed the Palki for Ajanta. And then we put up in our Tech Fest 2014 exhibition. The scientific advisor to the Prime Minister was visiting our exhibition and he saw our Ajanta Palki. He said, this looks lightweight and this looks good.
See, I was visiting Jammu and Kashmir and I had a meeting with Governor N.N. Vora, and he mentioned that there are Palki bearers who have to carry the pilgrims, and it's a very, very difficult job for them because the Palki is quite heavy and also the pilgrims are sometimes quite heavy. I knew about your Center for Innovation and Design, and you had told me that you had designed a Palki for tourists to Ajanta. And then I said, can you redesign this Palki for the Vaishno Devi pilgrims? That's how the project started.
We got a requirement from Vaishno Devi. The governor of Jammu was very concerned about the porter's plight because it is very arduous route, very long route, 14.5 kilometers they take pilgrims. So in this situation, he said, why don't you work on the Palki? From our study of innovation, the context is critical, the comprehension is critical. So we clearly knew that this particular Palki, which is for Ajanta, will not work for Vaishno Devi. We must know that, the contexts are different, the people are different, the terrain is different. So we started work on the Vaishno Devi Palki. We visited Vaishno Devi. We went over there and we checked how they carry the people. You saw in Ajanta, 4 guys were standing, 2 people standing next to each other. In the Vaishno Devi shrine, they are actually standing one behind the other. There are a number of reasons for this, and we'll understand why this is so critical for them. And then they also have very interesting camaraderie. They are together as a group, 4 of them. They know each other very well. They plan their trip very effectively. Long journey. It's very strenuous. It's 14.5 kilometers. It takes 3.5 hours to reach, and you're carrying loads as high as 80 to 140 kilos. Sometimes elderly can go up till 140, 160, and they can't say no to anybody. They've been on this job for a number of years. Their children are doing it. Their parents did it. So it's a legacy. They know how to handle their situations. I'd like to quickly show you a small video. You saw how the porter actually was moving. The load is very heavy. They keep shifting from one shoulder to another. And with that shifting, they actually distribute the load among themselves. And they also in sequence, once the first person shifts the load, the second person shifts the load on the other, and then the third, and then the fourth. They have a very good sequence and a good understanding on how this can go forward. So we visited with our team of designers. We visited the shrine. We looked at how the porters are working and what are these livelihood opportunities. We also went to their villages. Nearly 1,000 to 1,500 porters are there in Katra region in Jammu, and all of them, their livelihoods are dependent only on this job. So there was a motorable road which was done, and they were planning to procure electric vehicles for the motorable road. And then there was a big strike where some 1,500 of these people went to the governor and said, "You're killing our children. We'll lose our livelihood and we'll go hungry." So it's a very interesting social trend. So now tell me, do you let this happen because the porters really have musculoskeletal problems? So do you improve this or you completely eliminate this? Is a question we need to ask ourselves. Some of my students said, "Sir, you shouldn't work on such a project because it's really bad for the porters to carry so much load." Whereas another school of thought is make the Palki lighter. Another school of thought will say, no, this should not be. You should put a ropeway, you should put an electric vehicle on the road, and you must not make people go through this hardship. So the whole aspect is this: there are multi-level users for the Palki. Do you take care of the porters? Do you take care of the pilgrims? Do you look at the shrine board? And then, there were local vendors who were manufacturing this for them. Shrine board organized all this very effectively, saying that you have to be disciplined in this activity, there should be no accidents. So how do you weave all these people together in your study is a very important aspect. Can you look at the type of strain they would go through if you're carrying a 180 kilo person and you're going down the stairs? You have to balance the stairs. It's like, really, really very, very skilled job. Every time we observe new grips, you saw the grips on the top, grips on the side. These grips were not only to carry the pilgrims, but these grips also were to actually balance the Palki. One of them slips, it actually supports them. Other 3 support them if they slip. So there was so much development in the design. What is the best bet for us? And we also see very, very close hairpin bends like this, where the length of the Palki has to be really fixed. You can't really increase the length. Look at that bend and how they move in, what type of distances they move in. So the project is getting more and more complex in the context study itself. We took the cause. They said come on, we'll design a palki which is lighter for the porters, but context is very, very challenging. How can you do something worthwhile for these people? And then we went and observed the palki very closely. We found out that this is grassroots innovation. They pick up whatever local material is available. What is available locally is water pipes. Everybody has water pipes, the GI water pipes, galvanized iron, and those pipes are very heavy. They are very thick. They weld them together, and we also know from metallurgy that when you weld galvanized iron pipes together, the welding is not very strong, the metallurgy point of view. Because constant loading and cyclic loading, there is cracking in the welded joints, and then also it is very, very heavy. So we started studying the thing very closely, and there's some wonderful details like this ring and the rope. What is the rope doing to the ring and the ring to the log of wood which is going onto the shoulders? The log of wood is a phenomenal shock absorber which actually sits on the shoulder, and it's very friendly to the human body because it absorbs a lot of shock. And the string which you see which is tied inside also is another very interesting maneuverable, flexible design. So if the heights of the porters are different, these threads help you to sort of level them. Now I want to tell you a very interesting thing about rituals and practices. For example, the thread actually is replaced every year. To make it sure that people replace the thread, they made a ritual that every festive season, the shrine board will give this new thread to all of them. Though the thread is good, but they don't even leave one chance of failure. So you're taking care of safety through a ritual, design conscious safety mechanism. And then look at the joints between the parts, the seating details, the posture, and look at the corners. They were all stress cracked and broken, and they were welded together. And when you weld together, what happens? You add more material, so it becomes more rigid. And then the most important aspect is how are the porter's body sort of adapting to all this? There's a lot of adaptation. Some of them have these type of projections coming out on their shoulders, like they get bruises because of this. And I'm very fortunate to tell you that ours was a collaborative effort, and all this work is done by the ergonomics team in NITI. The whole team of designers, scientists are working on the ergonomic aspects. And these pictures are from the NITI's aspect. So now we look at the redesign of the Palki. So we know very clearly that it should be lightweight. The more lighter, the better for the porters. It should be maintenance free. We found out from the porters, if your Palki is broken, it nearly takes a month for them to repair it. So it's a loss of revenue for them. It should be manufactured locally. That's a very big challenge. Should ensure safety for porters as well as the patrons. So the safety aspect should be very critical. That should never break in the middle. So we worked together very closely, and we came up with our first prototype. Look at the first prototype design. The dimensions are pretty same. We did some amount of innovation where we reduced some of the pipes. We failed miserably when we did the user testing. We removed the pipes used for gripping in accidents. For example, you slip, you want to grip something, we removed those pipes. You can look at the CAD model. And we said, we are all used to this plastic molded chairs and they're very comfortable, right? The lumbar support is very good. I said, why don't we use these plastic molded seat backs? So we went to the seat manufacturer, we bought a plastic molded seat back and bolted it to the Palki. And we quickly prototyped this. We made the whole prototype in stainless steel pipe because now we have experience from Ajanta Palki. And a lot of people said, why don't you use composites? Composites will be lighter than stainless steel. But I knew from my experience that composites are very expensive and they have larger lead time for molding and processing and implementation. And then longevity also is an issue. We had more strength in stainless steel welding and local fabrication. So we also looked at that as our option. And we went to Katra again and we did the test, and the porters were very unhappy. They said, oh, where are all my pipes? Because you saw there's so many reasons for which the pipes are there. We just integrated everything. We put one pipe structure around it. We gave a nice, look at this, how we gave the handle. We brought the handle forward and we look at the comfort of the person who's sitting. What happens with all of us is we always bothered about the patron or the pilgrim who's sitting. Here, the focus has to be the porters, not the pilgrim. As I told you, The porters were pretty unhappy because there were some serious issues of gripping, holding, and it was not sitting in the pattern of their traditional Palki. And that change was very difficult for them. So we went back quickly and we made one more prototype. So here what we did, we copied their organization. We call it organization. The slopes, the grips, the angles. Are you seeing now? Very, very close to the original Palki. We just replaced the plastic with stainless steel. We added innovative manufacturing details so that the weldings will not break. We added an integral seat and we perforated the seat so that the weight is not big. So the seat doesn't need any maintenance. You know what happened with the molded seat, It was very comfortable to sit, but on long run, the screws were coming off, the seat was getting weak, and it needed to be replaced within 6 months. So the plastic molded seat was completely unacceptable. So we went ahead with the stainless steel integrated seat. And then again, we went for the trials. We found out what the issues are. See, there was this very interesting detail where this footrest was in the bottom and there was a pipe to support. When you're coming in and out, you could trip on the pipe. So what we did was we raised the footrest up. So when we raised the footrest up, the whole center of gravity went up. And that's very detrimental for the porters. The center of gravity line is very critical for them. That is a very important lesson we learned from this prototype, that we can't mess around with the center of gravity loads. So they also make the pilgrim sit at an angle. So there's so much development of participatory design in this that the porters had done a lot because of their experience. They've been running this over the years. So with that experience, we need to learn very humbly. Sometimes we fail miserably, but we learned from them what are the critical factors and came up with all the details. So we made one more prototype, went back again to Katra to see what happens. And this prototype we also sent to NITI for trials. So NITI has a whole team of people, students working on industrial engineering. So they did a lot of trials on this. They are the ones who told us that you need a headrest. So we provide a headrest for the pilgrim. Then we also got challenging aspects of the dimensions. You can see these are the dimensions which are very critical, because these are the spaces in which the porter is sitting. But now tell me, when the group comes together, there could be different heights of people, right? For their heights, they go and customize the production to their need. So now here I am coming with a standard design, and the dimensions are varying. So we had a tough problem. And the same thing happens with your mass production products. How will you make adjustability in this? If I add adjustability in this, what will happen? Longevity, cost, all those factors will come in. So we had a very tough lesson of studying the anthropometric data of all the porters, coming back onto the drawing board and checking out what exactly can we do with these dimensions. They were very happy because it was more compact. The center of gravity was taken very well. So they were extremely happy, because when you do customized production at their end, sometimes the vendor doesn't do good work. So here we gave them excellent dimensions, excellent control. So they were very, very comfortable and happy. These are all the initial study of what all happens with their musculoskeletal discomfort because of those heavy loads. Even if you reduce 10 kilos or 5 kilos, you have tremendous amount of advantage. So that advantage we took into our stride, and then we went and checked what happens with the final. So in the final one, they again came up with a lot of suggestions. They said the headrest actually makes the pilgrim sleep. And what happens if the patron sleeps on the Palki? It goes out of balance. The guy is like going like that and getting up like that. And then the porters are waking up the guy. Sona mat, sona mat. The people are sitting in the Palki are not supposed to sleep. You're putting them on a swing and you're asking them not to sleep. It's like that. So so how do you bring in that discomfort so that they don't sleep? So what is more important? More comfort and risky fall, or discomfort and safe journey? Very big challenge. These are called trade-offs in design. And I have NITI, from they say that no, we want to make the person very comfortable. There's no question about that. And I would say no, we need to trade off comfort to safety. So the headrest was removed. Rest of the patterns were very good. The dimensions were accurate. They wanted a very good footboard over here so that the pilgrim doesn't slip off. So we gave a wonderful footboard to them. We gave a place for them to store their bags. If you can see the place for bags, strong grips, correct ergonomic incline. And with all that, we, again went back to our study of, what's happening with the Palki. We already came to the fourth product. We need to now move fast. So the weights are ranging from 38 kg to 70 kg, the current Palki. So we want to at least bring them down to 34, 32, 30. Even 1 kilo less is great. Porters are required to trek for 28 kilometers in a day, up and down hill. They usually take 4.5 hours, so it's pretty arduous. Due to the heavy load on the shoulder, they shift, quite a bit. We saw that. So the shifting should be very convenient and easy. Our major focus is to reduce the strain, should increase porter comfort, and should not destroy the current livelihood porters. This is very important. The livelihood, should not go, it should become more comfortable and easy for them. We again had some very, important study from the anthropometric data. NITI again, pitched in with their studies and fine-tuned the dimensions effectively after the studies. So we fine-tuned the gaps between the first porter, the second porter, the third and the fourth, make our final design. So this is Mrs. Ketki Bapat is from the scientific advisor's office. She's the project in charge. She also went for trials. You should check up what the Palki is doing. This is at IIT Bombay where we made multiple prototypes one after the other, as you see. And then interestingly, Ketki Bapat kept on telling me that Chakravarti, you must go for an FEM analysis. I was very naive. And that's a very big mistake I did, that we didn't do any FEM analysis day one. What does finite element analysis give you? Stress points, and what else can it give you? Design cues to reduce stress and make the design more effective and more safe. So when we did the analysis of the existing Palki, look at the red lines. There were so many places there were stresses. Even the Palki we designed, because we just copied the design, we didn't change anything. And we reduce the thickness of the pipe. We made it worse than their design by making it lightweight and making it thin sections. So we went back to drawing board. When we did the analysis, we increased the diameter of the pipes. We increased the weight from 24 again to 30 kilos. Still there's a reduction of 10 kilos in the design. And we found out what would make the Palki more stronger and more long lasting. So this is the final CAD solution. And we compared the old and new. We made the final design, did the engineering, and we fabricated this in our studio. And we got all the best welding people from Andheri, who's been a real expert, and built the whole prototype in the studio. We wanted to test this prototype again with the end users, because now we made a lot of changes again to the grips. Really take the opinion of the porters. So this time we actually brought the porters from Vaishno Devi here. But if you're noticing, all the grips we retained similar. Only thing, the angles have changed. So they stayed with us for 2-3 weeks. They gave us a lot of inputs, and finally program review committee members, the chairman and other people took a ride inside IIT on the Palki. It's lightweight as well as extremely robust. And the design was taken. And then finally we found out, thanks to NITI again, they did an analysis of the heartbeat, the rate of the porter. With this you get to know how much effort the porters are having. And I think it's a very good move from what we see in these figures. There is a reduction to 34 kgs now, hence it's easy for the porters. Durability and maintenance is phenomenally good. There's a comfortable seating for the patrons who are coming in. There's a possibility of manufacture in local, because it's stainless steel and welding is pretty easy and effective. There are a lot of vendors in Katra we found who could actually manufacture for us. And there's enhanced safety due to ergonomics, engineering and design intervention as a collaborative project.
And then I thought we can also look at the occupational health of the Palki bearer. So that's why I got the director of NITI, Dr. Karuna Jain, into it. And now this has been a wonderful product which has now been created, and understand the Palki bearers are very happy with it. And the occupational health aspects which give them problem in the shoulder, the back and the knee has also been substantially taken care of.
मेरा नाम मोहम्मद अशरफ है। मैं 2000 से यहाँ कटरा वैष्णो देवी में काम कर रहा हूँ। तो हमारा जो पालकी, पुराने वाली पालकी थी, 80 केजी उनका वेट था।
पालकी है जो बहुत अच्छी है, ये चलने में जवानों के लिए ठीक है, सेहत भी इसमें ठीक रहती है और चलने में भी ठीक रहती है। उसमें जो पहले कई जवान जो ऐसे चल के उनके गुर्दे फेल होके ख़त्म हो गए, मर गए, मगर ये पालकी हम भी चाहते हैं कि ये पालकी नुकसान कोई नहीं पहुँचाएगी।
पहले जो पालकियाँ थी उनको वो 3-4 साल में टूट जाती थी और उसका रिपेयर का हमको खर्चा करना पड़ता था। अभी ये पालकियाँ आई, इसमें रिपेयर का कोई खर्चा नहीं है, ये कम से कम 10 साल तक चलेगी। अब जो ITI बम्बई से और श्राइन बोर्ड का शुक्रगुजार हैं, जो ये 20-30-35 किलो वेट की पालकी और यात्रा साहिबान को भी बैठने में अच्छी लग रही है।
So while all this was happening, we requested one of our manufacturing partners to manufacture 10 prototypes, and most probably the launch will happen within a month of this Palki.